is a lot of money. We had the check enlarged slightly, Ed McMahon style. I think this is a very serious and significant piece of history. $200,000 from James Biden to Joe Biden. Joe made his brother a $200,000 loan after a lifetime of service. Joe once said, actually more than once, he said all the time that he had no money and everybody was richer than Joe.
I was listed for all the years I was a senator as the poorest man in the United States Congress. I had the dubious distinction of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years. I had the great pleasure of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years.
This is James Biden and his wife, Sarah. They're the ones who wrote the check. They actually look like they're quite well-to-do here. You got to remember this, James and Hunter. So the brother of the president and the son of the president, you can see him here back in 2008 with Jill in the middle. They were traveling the world together, doing all kinds of work together, and this is all making sense. Now, I have to go to the date on that check one more time. When was it? March 1st of 2018. Now, we actually, from the laptop, have some communication between Hunter and James Biden in March of 2018. And they seem to be talking maybe about this money. From Hunter to Jim, we can talk, but you've been drawn into something purely for the purpose of protecting Dad. And I know any of the BS money is mine ultimately. Okay, I mean, you know, it's 10% for the big guy, but there's also sometimes maybe, you know, he's got to get his 90% first. I don't know. But this is bad, don't you think? It certainly. Next, please. Also, in the same month, a few months later, 9 months later, in the same year, from Jim to Hunter, I can work with your father alone. We, as usual, just need several months of his help for this to work. As usual, they need the father hanging around for months to help. This is highly, highly incriminating. And so is this.
I did not know he was on the board of that company. I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters. I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. No one has indicated I have. We've always kept everything separate. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
It's just muscle memory. It has nothing to do with the truth. You see that last clip, the one before this one. We've always kept everything separate. What is he talking? What's separate? What does he mean by this?
I did my job. I never discussed a single thing with my son about anything having to do with Ukraine. No one has indicated I have. We've always kept everything separate.
Everything separate. His initiatives, his outreach to these countries, they're doing it on their own. They come together in the form of private checks after the fact. I don't know. What do you think? I think Tony Bobulinski, we got to talk about him. He may be the real hero in all this stuff. You know, Tony Bobulinski met the Bidens in May of 2017 when Joe Biden went to speak at the Milken Institute in Los Angeles. And the night before, Tony meets with the Bidens, and he's pretty shocked at the way they conduct themselves.
On May 2nd, 2017, the night before Joe Biden was to appear at the Milken Conference, I was introduced to Joe Biden by Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. At my approximately hour-long meeting with Joe that night, we discussed the Biden's history, the Biden's family business plans with the Chinese, with which he was plainly familiar, at least at a high level, regarding the allocation of the equity ownership of Sinohawk. On May 13, 2017, I received an email concerning allocation of equity, which says 10% held by H for the big guy. In that email, there's no question that H stands for Hunter, big guy for his father, Joe Biden. Hunter often referred to his father as the big guy or my chairman. On numerous occasions, it was made clear to me that Joe Biden's involvement was not to be mentioned in writing, but only face-to-face.
Wow. What do you make of this, huh? I think it's huge. And you know it's huge. This check, $200,000. From the brother to the principal to the big guy himself. In March of 2018, you know what was happening in March of 2018? Joe Biden was not running for president. It wasn't a done deal. That whole thing about Charlottesville, he made up his mind, that's another lie. He was not convinced that he could do it. A lot of other people weren't convinced. So maybe he thought, hey, no one's looking. We can just do this a bit more openly than we normally did. I'm told that there are a lot more where this came from. That the investigation continues, and this is the tip of the iceberg.
This summer, Joe Biden said, "Where's the money?" Well, we found some. We're still digging into evidence subpoenaed from bank accounts belonging to Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, and James and Sarah Biden, the brother and sister-in-law of the president. A document that we're releasing today raises new questions about how President Biden personally benefited from his family's shady influence peddling of his last name and their access to him. Bank records obtained by the House Committee on Oversight have revealed a $200,000 direct payment from James and Sarah Biden to Joe Biden in the form of a personal check. Here's some important context about this check we've obtained in our investigation. In 2018, James Biden received $600,000 in loans from AmeriCorps, a financially distressed and failing rural hospital operator. According to bankruptcy court documents, James Biden received these loans, quote, based upon representations that his last name, Biden, could open doors and that he could obtain a large investment from the Middle East based on his political connections, end quote. On March 1st, 2018, AmeriCorps wired a $200,000 loan into James and Sarah Biden's personal bank account, not their business bank account. And then on the very same day, James Biden wrote a $200,000 check from this same personal bank account to Joe Biden. James Biden wrote this check to Joe Biden as a, quote, loan repayment. AmeriCorps, a distressed company, loaned money to James Biden, who then sent it to Joe Biden. Even if this was a personal loan repayment, it's still troubling that Joe Biden's ability to be paid back by his brother depended on the success of his family's shady financial dealings. Some immediate questions President Biden must answer for the American people. Does he have documents proving he lent such a large sum of money to his brother? And what were the terms of such financial agreement? Did he have similar financial agreements with other family members that led them to make similar large payments to him? And did he know that the same day James Biden wrote him a check for $200,000, James Biden had just received a loan for the exact same amount from business dealings with a company that was in financial distress and failing? The House Oversight Committee will soon announce our next investigative actions and continue to follow the money. The bank records don't end here. There's more to come.